Hello and welcome to Zephyr's Gambit, and I am Matt in the Hat, and this is Jim. He is playing Jeef, and he'll tell you all about Jeef, and we'll get into a Force Dream. We have recently rescued a trader, um, a an elephant-like man who who has basically told us that Mineth's parents are being held at ransom, and that something weird is going on in the north of space, and we've contacted a few different people, a few medical professionals, different things, and we've experienced a number of times that when we've used the gate travel to travel from gate to gate across the galaxy to get to these places that we've gone to much quicker than we would, whenever we've used them, we've had some physical and mental repercussions. We've been hearing voices in our heads. We've been getting fatigued and exhausted. We've had all of these different effects, and we're like, what's going on? And so someone decided that I guess one of our I'll say Mineth, together with our ship medic, have sort of said, look, we feel like the best way to find out what's happening is to put ourselves into a force powered sleep and then use the gate. That way, when we travel, our consciousness together with force will project us into whatever reality this gate is projecting, and we'll be able to investigate via this force stream what's causing these effects and why we've been put into those situations. So that's what's happening. Jeef, would you let's introduce you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those that might not have seen the sessions. Tell us about what you've experienced when you've used these gates, and tell us how you feel about this this idea of going into a dream state as you're using the gate, because I have a feeling that you have feelings about that might that might make it interesting.
Absolutely. So, Jeef is our Sulliston techno nerd gadget guy. His main goal in life is to not necessarily make a lot of money selling things, but to make sure that the things that you buy have his name all over them. So that being said, Mr. Collector of Things and Finder of Stuff, going through these gates, not really felt anything. The worlds are cool. The worlds have some neat things going on. I mean, it's not like they're planets that we've never seen or planets that we've never heard of or just completely lost civilizations. But it is neat to see this old, ancient, well, he doesn't want to call it technology because it's not made of metal with wires and computers. But it's definitely something different. He doesn't quite trust it. But so far, going through them, he doesn't really feel anything. Moving into this situation where he's pretty much been outvoted and in having to do this forced dream. I don't really like the fact that I'm not, like if you were going to put me in a back to take or something, and not creative stasis, of course. I mean, our science and technology has been making that possible and safe and even healthy for us. But if you're gonna lay me down and tell me that some mystical force is going to cause me to become a better person, my dad couldn't do that. Oh man, my dad couldn't do that. My sisters couldn't do that. Mom, she tried. She probably had the best chance, but then again, she had like a cybernetic arm, so it wasn't really gonna be anything anyway. But I would much rather be plugged into a scanner than laying there with somebody bent over me and oming to get me to fall asleep. I don't trust it. In fact, I highly doubt that it will work.
All right. Well, those that were thinking that this would be a good way to do it hear you, and they say, okay, perhaps you can work with us to make that possible. Where you can lie down in a Bacta tank, we can wire you up to the computer or a computer of your choice, and we can do that so that your dreams get projected into digital space, and then have that get, recorded for if you want, or you can just experience it in digital space, if you prefer.
Okay, stop there. That's great. You know what? In fact, I think with some of the stuff that we've seen around here, we might be able to throw together a makeshift sensory deprivation tank out of one of the refreshers, for lack of a better use of it. We could set it up, and if what you say is supposed to happen actually does, I like proof because I've heard of this forced dream. I mean, even I'm not some off-world just idiot, but forced dreams are for Jedi. Let's be serious. I'm not a Jedi. He did, but I'm not.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, plug me in. I'd love to have proof that your scheme will work.
Okay. Okay. So, together with you, obviously looking on and making sure that you feel confident in, that you're not just gonna, I don't know, get electrocuted or anything like that. They put together this this device that essentially, is just a Bacta tank with sensory wires and things like that. And upon falling asleep, or at least going into a meditative state, your consciousness will be projected into a digital reality.
Okay.
Kind of like, the old Doom games and things like that, how it's kind of blocky, but
Yeah.
you can still walk around and, and things like that. You can still sort of see things that just have that kind of animated quality about them. They're not quite real, but they still have weight and they still have mass, all that sort of stuff. That's kind of the reality that you will wake up in. And this room that, make sure that this is, so this room in Roll20 that you appear in seems to be some sort of temple, at least in the digital space. There is this long carpet that sort of travels all the way into it and ends in almost like it's a stepped down kind of instead of having a raised dais, it's instead indented into the floor. On either side of this hexagon-like room at the end, you have computer terminals. And those computer terminals are projecting a hologram at on that far wall, and I'll ping it. I don't know how zoomed in or whatever you are.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Right. So yeah, we'll take you. I'll walk you up. Now, as you're walking up, there are these cloaked figures that are in the room, and you can see them. They seem to have this shadowiness about them. Their whole person is wreathed in almost tangible liquidy shadow. It's not quite liquid, but it's very, very dense, foggy blackness that sort of hangs around them. You can't see under their hoods because it's just shadow, but they're wielding, or at least on their sides, hanging on their belts, they have lightsabers that are not on. They're just lightsaber hilts at this stage. But they seem to their heads kind of follow your movement as you're walking down. And as you're getting closer to the end, you see, obviously, there's a hologram that you can see up there. Hopefully you can see my ping. Depending on how you're feeling about walking nearer to these figures.
Sorry, real quick, will you ping that again?
Yeah, so if you zoom out, so if we go up this
Okay.
way,
Yeah.
right at the end of that room, on that wall there is a massive big hologram that's being
Okay.
projected from these two computer terminals. Basically, the two terminals combine to make this almost three-dimensional hologram on the wall.
Okay.
If you wanted to go elsewhere, these circles along the edge are just pillars, and obviously there's stairwells into other rooms and things, but it does seem like that hologram at the end of the room is depicting something.
Okay. I'll go to the hologram. I have absolutely no fear, like knowing full well that everything in here is digital.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff can't do anything to me, and if need be, I'm sure I can find some way to hack it to fix it. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll move right on down.
Sure.
I'll move all the way to
To that.
the
All right.
hologram. I mean, till I can't.
Yeah. Well, the closer that you get to the hologram, almost the bigger it is. You know, you're fairly short, and you can sort of reach up and you can interact with this hologram.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And basically, what's projected is what seems to be a point in space that you don't recognize, and there is a planet there. It's a sphere, just like most planets are, and you can see there are various ships around this planet. You don't recognize the make or model of these ships. They seem to be organic in nature. And At the moment, the hologram isn't zoomed into them. You can just sort of see these sort of ship images, and you could zoom in using your hands if you wanted to, and you can obviously zoom into that planet. At the moment, it's zoomed quite a lot out. It's almost a view of the planet's orbit, although there doesn't seem to be a sun anywhere nearby.
Okay. Um, I'm, I'd like to manipulate um, or I tried to manipulate the hologram to get a closer look at the organic ships.
All right. So yeah, you get a really good zoom in look at these things. So their their outer shell is like they're like massive bone rib cages that are kind of holding this web-like leathery it's kind of like the stuff that makes sausages, right? That clear um, animal interior. I don't know exactly what they're called, but that seems to be sort of stretched around this rib cage to keep the interior safe from space. The ships indeed are. They seem to be breathing. There's this substance does move in and out rhythmically, as if, and you can see veins and some sort of moving blackish substance that sort of pumps through the entire thing. And there is movement inside of the ships themselves. There's insectoid figures. They almost look like humanoid praying mantis
Yeah.
that are sort of piloting the vessel.
Well, that's interesting. There's a part of me that studies that and kind of watches that and goes and just thinks, "This is real cool. Somebody thought up of this." I'll leave it alone. Going, this place is huge. Let's continue exploring. And since I have that shadowy, liquidy, shadowy figure behind me over my left shoulder, I'm gonna turn around, take a couple steps over to it, and just take a better look at it to kind of see what kind of life forms this this digital program has created for me to interact with.
All right. So as you get closer, that shadowiness does part, and you do see humanoid faces. So each one of these figures has a humanoid face and has a humanoid figure underneath the shadowiness. That as you get closer to it, the resolution from just dark shadow starts to clear and conform and digitize until effectively close enough within about 5 feet of it, it resolves into a humanoid face. Not exactly human, but in 100% reality kind of definition. This figure and face seems to be have like they're looking down almost at in inflection. That seem to be thoughtful, but also seem to be very troubled. And as you get close, the eyes will come up to you, and you can see pleading in its eyes. You don't recognize the person. Actually, let me ask you this. Has Jeef studied history at all?
My guess is no. Um,
Would you know anything about, like, for example, the Clone Wars or Order 66?
Not really. I mean, I would know. I mean, the Clone Wars were a big deal, and I'm Sullust. I know what those were, but other than like the big points, I couldn't talk to you about much more than the big battles and the big names that were in it.
Right.
But like, yeah, uh, history, no big deal. Um, if Order 66, Jim knows what Order 66 is,
Yeah.
but if it wasn't like made common knowledge, then I don't know it.
Okay. Um. All right. Well, you would have at least read something about Jedi in your time, and from everything that you've read, if you were to see a Jedi other than Skavath, this you think looks like one? They're holding themselves with this grace that it doesn't really resound on any martial arts or anything like that you know of beyond Jedi, and certainly the the form of that lightsaber core is there, and you feel like that if it was to draw it, that and use it, that the light side of the lightsaber would come out. You think that would be kind of dangerous. It doesn't draw its weapon or move in any way to tell you that it might be dangerous. However, you just have a feeling that if you were to act in a negative way toward it, that it might defend itself. It looks like it's programmed here as maybe a some sort of guardian or something like that.
Ah, that's looking at it and realizing what it is and putting that piece together. I kind of laugh and I go, "Yeah, it makes total sense that to threaten me, they would put somebody like this in here. It would be nearly as bad as putting filling the room with stormtroopers because I don't want anything to do with either side."
Right.
And,
Um,
I mean, I kind of laugh that based off of whatever digital projection this is of this force dream, that it's putting itself out there like have that I want less to do with the rebellion than I do with the empire.
yeah.
Like that's why I'm sick that like these guys to me are the ones I'd rather stay away from. That's why it's a more effective do right in here
Okay.
motivator.
Chloe? Yeah, I'll close my door, please. Just otherwise, this will get like copyright struck. Um, yeah. One thing I'll give you is that yeah, you've got this thought process in your mind, but it's a wonder that these things are so realistic. It's like they have personality. Like if you were to compare this one to the one across the hall, they seem to have their own kind of personalities. Definitely their own look. Definitely they're all looking out pleadingly. They seem to be sad, angry, maybe. Okay, so the one that you first looked at will be sad, and the one across the hall looks angry. And yeah, they seem to move just on the spot. They're not sort of like moving around the space, but moving kind of on the spot in ways that are very much reflective of their own personalities.
Is it like watching like a holo recorder, where like I've got the transmitter and I'm watching it as if the camera's there. That person looks like they're running in place, but whatever is recording them is following them, so that the hologram stays there.
No, it looks like they're an actual person that you can interact with.
Okay.
And if you were to reach out and brush, their shoulder or something without your weapon drawn, you would, in fact, feel the sort of silkiness of real material and form beneath the material.
All right. There's something that I feel drawing me to move up these stairs, because you said we're lower down in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Move up these stairs and then go off to the left.
Okay. Up there, it's like a small council room, and sort of having seen the walls of this place, you have a feeling that it would be mirrored on the other side. And indeed, there are actually windows in here that you can see the other one on the other side. But as far as what's in here, there is a number of chairs. There's a monitor on the wall. There is a big desk in the middle, or a table. Well, it's more like a table than a desk. It's a council room where people would come and sit and discuss whatever they have to discuss. Beyond those things, there's a small terminal that you think would operate that monitor. And again, there's someone else just sitting, another one of these figures sitting at one of the chairs around the table. Again, at a distance, shadowy, but if you got closer...
I'm going to walk around the table to the console and just, in Jeefs' little assholery kind of way, like, hey, hope you don't mind, I'm going to check this thing out real quick.
Yeah, alright, well, so you start to operate that console. You think that this console is detached from the other one in the middle of the main room. This console is showing you Coruscant. And it's sort of a top-down view of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, and you have a feeling that you're inside the Jedi Temple on Coruscant in your dream, or in this digital reality.
That I have done what?
You are in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant in your in this digital reality.
Oh. And what I see on this screen
is
temple?
Yeah, the outside of it. And you're seeing figures that look like Jedi and look like trainers and masters walking around. And as you're looking at the screen, it gets attacked from the air.
Okay.
All of these Imperial ships just swoop down and start shooting the crap out of everything.
On Coruscant? Like that's Jeef's reaction on Coruscant. And I just keep watching, going, "This is not real. The Empire is not willing to sacrifice something like Coruscant." And already just continuing to feel like I'm getting proof that this is going to be a false dream. I'll leave and walk to the opposite hall to see if there's another console.
Yeah, there will be. Let's see. This one is showing images of a space battle. Seem to be pretty old. At least that's what it feels like to you. These ships seem to be pretty outdated that it's showing. Again, it will be Imperial ships that are the aggressor. And yeah. For Jim's knowledge, everything points to Order 66.
Okay.
But for Jeef, I don't think he knows what that is.
Okay. That's cool.
But you could find that out by interacting with them and sort of, I don't know, hacking them.
So then what I do is while I'm watching this, I look over my shoulder at this figure sitting in here, and I'm like just being a sarcastic ass. I go, "You know anything about this?" And go back to watching it.
So for the first time since you've got here, I mean, it's been incredibly silent. Other than your own walking and breathing, these figures don't really. There's no sound coming from them. And the recordings didn't have sound either. So when the figure speaks, it might make you jump a little bit because it's just been so starkly silent. The figure will say, "Help me."
Oh, Spices, what are you? Help you what?
Help me. I'm trapped.
You're just code. I mean, if you want me to, I'd be happy to download this program and put you into Jeep if I need to.
This is strange. It says, I'm not a program.
Well, of course you are. You're a good one if you're pretty self-aware to be able to, argue that.
So, 1 second.
Draw a lifesaver, Jeep is dead.
What's this?
I said draw a lifesaver, Jeep is dead.
So... I'm just saying... Just need some names here. So he's going to give you his name, and the name that he gives you is one of the very well-known Jedi who was killed in Order 66. I don't have a name for you. I'm just trying to find one.
Okay.
But, and he says, my spirit is trapped. I've found no rest.
Okay. And I'll walk around from behind him and go to the other side of the table. And I stand behind the chairs with my arms crossed. And what'll help you find your rest?
He'll say, my spirit is trapped. I know not where or by whom, but many more of us are here.
Well, I've seen a lot of you. Yeah.
He says, an outside being not affected by the Force is, and it pauses, tries to find a word, siphoning our spirits.
Hmm. Well, that's an interesting puzzle.
They call themselves the Yuzan Vong.
Hughes and Vong. Okay.
He says, he says, find us, seek Regulon, and you know Regulon is a system. There is close to us, I feel.
Huh. So in my dream, I am going to um hmm. Oh, I'm a nerd. In my dream, I'm going to go ahead and just do what Jeef expects to happen in a techno dream. I just pick my hand up and, oh, look, the tablet's in my hand.
Yeah.
And I start uh, going through my tablet, pulling up a map, trying to search for the Regulan system.
Yep. The regular system is in U12. You've been... You haven't really been close to there. One second. As close as you've gotten would be Tamarzan. In order to get there from Tamarzan... actually, if you remember... Regulan is actually on your list of gate destinations.
Okay. So then, I go, okay. Use Anbong, huh?
Again, it's got this way of talking, communicating. You feel like it's being suppressed. It sounds like it's struggling, and will say so even. I am losing strength. That is what they call themselves. Our spirits are being twisted.
Okay.
Trapped. Something is happening. And as he trails off, the shadow overtakes his face, and he's just a shadow now, or just the shadowy mist. His face is no longer visible.
Okay. I see that and I wonder and I go, replay that last bit, please. Does it actually work?
No. Unfortunately not. But, you know.
I repeat, I go, replay that last bit, please.
So, what they can do is they can sort of load block by block what you saw.
Oh, but so they can replay it for me.
Right. It's just going to be a little bit pixely.
Oh, okay. I was curious if because for a minute I was starting to believe him. I was like, oh, all right, replay that last bit. And then it didn't work, and I was like, holy crap, hold on. Replay that last bit, and it starts to work, and oh, okay. Oh, I almost kind of started believing him for a second, because I didn't.
A voice comes into your head, and you recognize that it's coming from the outside, and says, you are in a program, Jeef, but And as you see the playback, right? Um, the figure's not in the playback. And the voice that you recognize in your head says that I can't find it. It's not here.
Keep looking. And then I hurried down the steps again and go back to that first one that I ran into, or that I looked at,
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, hey, hey. I'm saying that as I'm coming down the stairs, just flying with my little Solston legs. And I come up and I tap him on the shoulder and go, hey, tell me about these Yuuzhan Vong. You know anything more about them?
He'll raise his hand and slowly move it towards your forehead.
Okay.
Will you let it touch you?
I'm confused. I mean, yeah, I feel it, but I don't have a clue what. I mean, yes, I get the sensation of feeling contact with this thing, but like, is it trying to touch my head? Like, I recognize it's trying to touch my head.
Yeah, you would, yeah.
Okay. Um, and while it's doing it, it's really one of those.
I don't know if I really want them to do this. You see, like, this 10-second replay of about 1,000 years of history, which is the arrival of this insectoid race to space, and about how many worlds they've destroyed in that time. But they're just like 0.5 second flips, or not even that long, just like just machine gun, but the images are all sort of spread out along these 1,000 years, and it's like it's like this being, whoever's touching you, doesn't have this knowledge, and it's like they've seen it in books or whatever, and you're seeing it through his eyes, and so they're just like images of destruction and images of like concept art almost of what the ships might look like and what these insectoids are. No one really knows completely what these things look like, because whenever they've come into an area, they've just destroyed it. So there's not really good record. So what you're seeing is like someone's trying to render something that's in their imagination, and then those pictures are being relayed into your mind.
Okay.
But some of those pictures are remarkably close to the ships that you were just looking at in that hologram.
Okay. Do I need to make some kind of save after all that? Or some kind of roll? Sorry. I just finished on D&D.
I mean, it's really weird. What sort of role were you thinking about?
Not like it's basically, for lack of better terms, in Jeefs' way to describe it, it just downloaded as you said, 1,000 years worth of information, or tried to, into my consciousness in 10 seconds. Like, do I need to make some sort of discipline roll or resilience roll?
I would say, huh, I would say resilience in this
Okay.
situation, because it's not trying to take you over or anything. Yes, it's mental, but it's also physical. I think you're more likely to get a headache than anything. I think that it's going to be hard.
Okay.
Flat is fine. Let me make sure that um, my dice pool is clear. Should be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a threat.
Okay. Yeah.
But overall,
So you come out
man,
sort of with a headache. You sort of feel, you don't feel violated. Okay? It's not like someone's invaded your mind, but it's just like so much imagery in so little time, and it just makes your head throb, yeah?
yeah. Oh, um, uh, and that's not something that I've experienced before. Even having put on uh, a headset and being plugged in other ways, like
No, no, this is completely different to any sort of digital technology that you.
right. And there's a and I still am firm in the belief that it was digital, something digital tried to upload something digital to me,
Right,
and like this is not ghosts.
right.
This is something. This is, for the lack of a better term, this is a ghost in the program. This is not some Jedi.
Okay.
Um,
So,
my curiosity is my biggest flaw.
yeah, let me
If I,
ask you this then, as a player.
yeah,
Um, I don't necessarily want to convince Jeef, but
yeah.
what would convince Jeef that this is real, rather than like these things?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the biggest thing for Jeef right now is that you say the Yuzan Vong, you can show me these insectoids, and you can show me the organic looking ships. But all in all, I'm so rooted in science and technology that these things are fiction.
Okay.
There's that somehow, like, these at this point, Jeef is starting to assume that all of these shadowy forms are Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
and so, like, or they're going to present themselves as Jedi.
Right.
So he's warming up to that. He's becoming, like, been in here long enough to go, okay, I see the game that the program's playing to try to warn me. All right, but is this, like, that's not something I can build.
Mm-hmm.
There's not even it's not even on anybody's radar to build what looks like, to fly in a living creature without it eating you and you being in it because it's digesting you at the moment rather than you're somehow inside of it controlling it. This is a ridiculous, and it's like, and I'm becoming less afraid of these Jedi in this dream because what they're saying and showing me is to Jeep ridiculous.
Okay.
And so, go ahead.
Cool. What I'll do then is I'd like you to make me maybe. So what I'm thinking, like, so in my DM mind
Yeah.
is some sort of knowledge technology check. So it's not like computers, because it's not using computers. It's not mechanics, but it's kind of like a knowledge, as in intelligence.
Yeah.
Maybe knowledge technology, knowledge. But I would want to give you some boosts
Okay.
to your ranks in one of your technological skills, maybe. Because it's a knowledge check on identifying tech that maybe
Machines.
you just saw in one of these snippets.
Okay, so like mechanics or
Okay.
there's basic lore. Uh, I've got some outer rim.
Yeah. Let's do. Yeah. Okay. Let's do an outer rim check then, and let's give you. Because it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard with two setbacks, but I'm going to give you an amount of boost die equal to your ranks um, in computers or mechanics, whichever is better.
Equal to my rank in it.
Rank in it, yeah.
And they're the same. Oh, actually, okay. Make sure I put the right letters in, and then let's see. Uh-huh. All right, so it's going to be 4 blue because my rank in mechanics is 4.
Yep.
1 purple and 2 reds because of the. Okay.
Ooh,
A
so that's a lot of advantages.
fail and 7 advantages.
All right. Wow. So all right, you don't fully recognize the tech that you see, but with at least some of those advantages, you see tech that seems legitimately possible getting destroyed. With the rest of those advantages, I'll say that that's two of those advantages. You've got 5 more advantages to spend. How are we going to spend those?
Oh,
Because the success was identifying the tech so that you could have this point of reference that you'd be like, I know this tech exists, and it just got wiped out. That's kind of where I was going with this check.
okay.
You've
Let's use however many you feel it will take then of those advantages. Since I don't recognize the tech, and let's say I was trying to use the tech to identify it, I can't identify when based off of the uh, of seeing the tech. But however, they actually do respond to the question, "When did this happen?"
Yeah, okay. And this will answer why you don't recognize the tech too, and it will say the period of Order 66, right? So
Order 66.
yeah. So let me bring up. It'll tell you the year that happened. It'll say, or years. I'm just trying to find. Come on, give me a year. I'm looking at the official page.
You can just as easily, if you wanted to just tell me how, like, it happened 40 years ago.
Right. I
That's it.
think it's between 20 and 30 years ago. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and Jeef's only about that old, right? He's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, so, okay, so the computer feeds back that, that time frame when you were only just being born. Or not even a twinkle in your mum's eye, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
and um, and the tech looks like it would be in that age. You've seen tech from that age, but maybe not the tech that you're seeing here, because
Yeah.
that tech in this vision just got wiped the hell out
And
by
so
by these
realizing
creatures.
realizing it's recent, and they go, and you're telling me this is real. This happened.
The this figure can't speak, just nods.
This is the angry one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're talking to the angry one?
Yeah. Sorry. I. So the one on the left in the so around that center
Yeah.
in the north in the
Okay.
top left was the bad one, and I've moved over to
To
the one on the
to the
right.
angry one?
Yeah.
Um,
And
okay.
is this a pilot?
It's just another Jedi.
Well, I mean, with the information that I'm being given, like stuff like seeing these scenes of ships destroying ships. Is this from like we saw this on the Hollow News, or you saw this firsthand?
He's seen it firsthand. In fact, the amount of anger that's coming off him as you're, seeing this again or whatever, is quite palpable, because of that. He got killed in this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll walk down here to the one below him. Who are you? What do you want to show me? And I'm starting this process, and you can give it to me however you like. Like I'm talking to them now.
Okay, so the rest of them, right? You're just walking up to one, but all of the others, the other four, um, in this room, they all, in one action, point at the hologram showing the planet on the back wall. This wall.
And I look back at them like I look at that. So you want me to go there? Like you just really bad want me to go there, huh?
Again, that they'll drop their hands and then their hands will come up again and point at it again.
And what happens if I don't?
The angry one will turn around and say, "Look closer."
All right. And I'll walk up to it and look closer.
Okay. Um, you can then zoom in and all that sort of stuff. And if you do, you see the same shadow essence that hangs over these beings in here is hanging over this planet. And as you're looking at it, you can see that it's sort of coming in slightly and then coming out slightly and then coming in slightly and coming out slightly. And it seems like this planet is breathing.
Is that Regulon? That's just in the system. Computer, uh, capture image of this, please.
It does. Uh, to give you some sort of cross-reference, the planet that you're looking at is in wild space, but it's in V12, and U12 is where Regulon is. So it's like still a long way away from Regulon, but in retrospect to the whole entire Star Wars universe, that's pretty close.
Yeah. So, still looking at this planet, the light from the hologram just bathing me in the green color of it or whatever. So, so be straight with me. If this is real, why are you contacting Jeef? I'm not your best bet.
So what you're thinking, right? I'll reiterate to you what's happened. So what will happen for Mineth is that probably she'll accept the Force Stream and go through the gate while she's having the Force Stream. You've accepted going into the Bacta tank and getting connected in and going through the gate while that's happening. So just so that we're 100% clear, you are currently traveling through a gate while you're seeing this, right? So these images are only being shown to you because it's being there's a residual communication that's in the gate network. So they're not reaching out to talk to you. Their residual energy that is within the gate network is pervading into this digital reality. Therefore, you are seeing it. You can talk to them and they can understand you, but their power is limited and it's being siphoned. So it's limited to how much I can tell you, but that they can't answer the question, why is it you they're talking to? I guess the best answer that any of them would be able to give you is something to do with being, for better word, in the wormhole of this gate.
And still, like, and so just like turn around back to him. I get that, but I'm on a ship with a Jedi, and you're talking to me. So
You think that Mineth and Estelia being, will, in their own way, in their own, not in the back to tank like you, but in their Force Stream, will say the same thing. It's like if you happened across a recording that was slightly interactive. That's kind of what this is.
like an old 2XL. Okay.
Yeah, but you've been able to briefly communicate with the protagonists in the recording.
Yeah.
They say desperation. They say the word desperation.
I get that. Well, I mean, well, all right. Well, there's a gate that goes there. There's nothing stopping us from going. It's not like it's out of our way. So,
The last words that they'll be able to tell you before they all sort of turn into this shadow again and not forms will be be careful. Yuuzhan Fong. Strong.
all right.
Yeah. And you can wake up having finished the travel to wherever we decide to have gone. You're still in the back to tank. You can take off the electrodes. You can view, if you wanted it recorded, you could view back the recording, and all that the recording shows you is the shell of the space, not anything. And the computer hologram and everything that you saw in the hologram, but none of the characters.
And I hear all of my responses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Hmm.
You know, the crew will say, you know, we heard you calling out, and we, you know, spoke with you. We did the best that we could. Everything that's recorded is obviously there. It's for you, you know, it's encoded to your signature. You're the only one that can access it.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, when we play next, obviously you'll be able to interact with Mineth and Estalia, who will have seen the same scene but from different sources, i.e. Estalia in her dream sleep, in her forced dream, and Mineth in whatever fashion she wanted to be under. That'll be up to her. And obviously your interactions, how you all interact will be different to each other, so it'll be interesting to see that. Is there how what what is on Jeef's mind as this sort of experience is finished, and what is on Jim's mind as this experience is finished?
Um, First, Jeef is skeptical still.
Yeah.
Like, it is mostly disbelief, but for those images that I've seen, the image that sticks out the most is that what seems to be that breathing planet,
Mm.
and just for the even if it's something out there that's huge. And breathing, it's worth seeing if it's out there. Um, if it really is planet sized, um, that information itself is um, very valuable. Um, not not just to Imperials or to rebels, but there are people who would want to go out there and like hunting parties to land on it and see what else is on the planet. If the planet's alive, what is on the planet that's alive? Like there's a if that's real, there's a huge amount of money that's able to be made.
Right.
Uh, but that's also um, even selling it to scientists to go out there and study something that immense. Um, Jim, however, is doing his best not to freak out on camera at the mention of the Yuzhan Vong because they are some of my favorite entities in the entire Legends series of Star Wars. I love them, and I know people hate them, and people look at them and go, they were just reaching for straws trying to come up with something there before Disney bought Star Wars. But those books were so interesting watching Jason and Jaina Solo grow up and Jason being like becoming a Dark Lord and dealing with the Yuzhan Vong, and then watching throughout that entire series what's going on, all the Aaron Alston books, and how he's just incredible at writing about space combat. And like that's it immediately. You said Yuzhong Vong, and my brain went back to all of those hours spent reading those books, and I'm excited to see what I get to do to interact with, even though you said that it's a little off canon. It's not necessarily in line with exactly what's going on. I am very excited to see how Jeef gets to be a part of the Yuzhan Vong story.
Right. And we'll have a quick discussion off camera surrounding what you've read, because I can guarantee that I haven't. So we'll have a bit of a chat about that before I'll let you go.
Okay.
But on camera, that's awesome. That you're really excited about that, and that's kind of where our story is leading. Um, if we do go to Regulon, um, then we're going to get some more rumors and some more stuff is going to be revealed at that point. But um, the second part of this recording is to see Mineth's reactions and interactions inside of the dream, or inside of this digital reality, whichever she decides to pursue.
Yeah.
And then next session will be the characters talking to each other about what that means to them and what's next, and seeing what's happened with Mineth's family in the mix.
Yeah.
So before we finish, is there any other questions or anything that you'd like to talk about before we go off camera and just have a chat about what you've read?
No, it's great, man. It's
Cool.
great.
Well, this has been really good. These individual sessions were a little unscheduled for anyone that was watching, but it's been really interesting to see how Jeef interacted with these things, and it'll be really interesting in a couple of weeks to see the communication between him and Mineth, having seen what they've seen and what happens next. So between now and then, I'll get together with Chris, who plays Mineth, and we'll figure out her side of things. And our plan is to meet in a fortnight, if that works for you. And for now, internet, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you soon. Bye bye.